Why hello YouTube! Greetings from the LazyEyebrowReviewer, and welcome to the real April 2015 review, number 71. It's Generation Shazam! Warpath. Now, originally, I had intended on doing this for last Wednesday, with the idea that the joke would be every 2 or 3 sentences I would throw in a kapow! Or a zowie! But, realizing that was a silly idea that'd probably get old, I settled for an old joke. I know, I chickened out, shame on me. Regardless, let's kablam! Dive in. And I promise that was the last one. Warpath is a fictional H-tank with absolutely no real-world influence in design. But I think it works in Warpath's favor, to be honest. But we'll get into why a bit later. Otherwise, I totally dig his maroony colors. Not to mention the decals on the side. Both of which are written in that Leet language that was super rampant everywhere about 4 or 5 years ago. These particular decals say Zowie and Kapow, which totally suits the personality of this spastic little tank. All in all, while not being entirely G1, just more or less G1 inspired, I love this little tank. Now, how about some vehicle articulation? The barrel of his tank has some up and down movement, perfect for those long range shots. Not high enough to take on a seeker in the air per se, but the fact that it moves is pretty awesome. A rotating turret so he can still roll and aim. And weapons that can either top mount or side mount. One of these weapons also spring loads and fires. I think it's a silly gimmick, so I'm going to leave the missile out for the rest of the review. Really, all spring loaded junk can take a hike for me. Anyway, that being all for articulation in vehicle mode, let's transform the guy. Start with pushing the barrel in, which will pop his head up. Very G1 indeed. However, you could also leave it this way as a sort of vehicle with a head. It's nifty. Anyway, after that, unpeg and rotate the front treads up. Swing the back half of the tank up on the hinge at the very back. Next, rotate the lower legs inward while swinging the tank treads in counter-rotation to make one solid leg. After that, fold up what used to be the top of the lower section of the tank underneath the turret. Then swing down the turret and lock it into the waist to make a solid torso. Open up these panels on the back of what used to be the rear treads and swing the whole tread assembly down. Then fold out the hand and close the panel back up. Conversely, you could leave the hand in and close the panel to make some sort of arm cannon. Man, he's as versatile as a Mega Man. Anyway, we're done, and here's Warpath. Oh my goodness, this is such an upgrade to the original G1. While still mostly keeping to the original aesthetic of the animated character. He has that barrel that retracts into his chest, still got the big chunky arms and legs, the back of the arms and bottom of the feet show his treads, but because he's an H-tank, which works so amazingly well for Warpath, he doesn't have random tank treads that just up and end. It's awesome. Now, I know that Bad Cube just released pre-orders for War Dog, but heck, I don't even care this time, because I really do love this figure. Mostly. I will admit a G1 head would be nice, especially since this thing has light piping that doesn't even work, but I can live with what's there. On to articulation. Head can look left and right, arm rotates at the shoulder with a separate joint for outward movement. Elbow bends at 90 degrees, more so if you open the hand flap for transformation, and rotates to the elbow. Sadly, though, no hand rotation. And also no waist rotation either. But if I had to choose, I would much rather turret rotation in tank mode over waist articulation, one I can work with a bit more. His legs feature a ball joint on the hips, a swiveling thigh joint, a knee joint, and if you mistransform the feet, I guess you could get forward and backward movement, but not much. But this does translate to some awesome posability, like the iconic Iron Man pose. He can totally do it way better than Astral Train. In fact, why not have him being kicked for being too short? Come on, Astral Train, gotta step up your game. Or even be a super fighting robot. Use his treads to cross-crunch his feet. And more. For size comparison, here's Generation's Wheeljack from the same wave. MP Red Alert, who I could live with scale-wise. Even MP Seekers aren't overly big for him in vehicle mode. You could totally recreate that jousting scene from that one episode in those last 2 seasons. Anyway, this has been my review for Generation's Warpath. He's an awesome figure. Even better if someone fixed his head. But one I highly recommend from the days when Hasbro cared about the figures they made. Not saying Combiner Wars is bad, by the way, but there was that time when FOC was a thing, and let's not go there. This has been the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer.